the most recent recruiting class, under the radar signees. We talked a lot about Micah, and we talked a lot about some other players, Justin Shorter, Ricky Slade. In your mind, is there a guy that's maybe not quite, he's not on campus yet, or he just enrolled, in the last month or so? Is there a player or two that you think is under the radar that could really help Penn State this year in this class?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to envision P.J. Mustipher not being a guy that plays from day one. He was a multi-time state champion as a heavyweight wrestler. He looks, I mean, the photos that he shared of his Penn State arrival for the first summer semester a couple weeks ago looked like a guy that, with 2 or 3 months of Dwight Galt's training and, of course, a summer camp, he might not play every down, Bob, but he looks like a guy that could really give Penn State a nice little punch in the depth department at defensive tackle from day one. So he's one guy that you watch closely. And I'm still, and this is one of the questions, we'll get into it more in overtime, but tight end. How are one of those two guys not going to be asked to play this year? I know Zach Kuntz is a little bit on the skinnier side, and most figure he's going to need a year to bulk up to play in the Big Ten. But if Freiermuth is ready to go, I have a hard time envisioning him not being able to overtake or at least earn snaps away from what is currently on the roster. I mean, I know Danny Dalton's been sort of the leader of the pack so far, and John Holland and Nick Bowers have been fighting through some injuries, but Bob, it looks to me like one of those guys could play right away too. Yeah,
and Holland and Bowers are guys that have been injured more than once, so just by default they might have to play Pat Freiermuth or Kuntz. But yeah, I think that's another one. And Jake Pinegar is the kicker. I think they have a real question. James is going to have to decide what he wants to do at that position. I don't know if there is another option on the team other than Blake Gillikin. We heard him talk in spring that he really doesn't want Blake to be overextended. He wants him to focus on punting, and if he has any additional duties, it might be as the kickoff guy. But I think August is going to kind of tell the tale of that. If Pinegar is someone maybe that they can't trust or they're not sure, from what I've seen from Gillikin, just kicking the ball, he's got such a strong leg. He proved that he could get that job done when he was a Georgia prep star. Does Pinegar have a chance to play this year? And if he does not play, and he's not the kicker, is it going to have to be Blake Gillikin?
I don't really see how it could be anything else. I mean, look, Penn State did bring in a large number of walk-on specialists that were willing to pay their way to be involved in this competition. And I think if you're a local guy, and most of them are, and you think that, okay, Coach has been quite clear about the fact that he doesn't want his best specialist doing all 3 specialist things. So if you can find your way onto the field and you can afford it, you might as well try. Do I think Pinegar is the guy? Yeah, I do. Will he do placements? Will he do field goals? I don't know. Watching Blake Gillikin, like you and I had the chance to in the spring, Bob, I don't know how you don't make him your field goal kicker. I don't. If you don't want him to do all 3, have Pinegar do kickoffs. With the new rules with the kickoff, I know James didn't feel ready to talk about it back in the spring, but with the whole you can call fair catch anywhere and get the ball to 25 and this, that, and the other thing, I mean, they might almost become moot. So as long as he can get it down there, I mean, I know you'll have some guys you have to worry about placing the ball away from and all that, but the way the new rules are going to be, I think you're going to see a lot of guys just fair catch it, take it at the 25, and go from there. So I think if you can get at least that out of him, you're successful, and I think they'll be able to.
Yeah, and there is a precedent at Penn State for a guy being a punter and a place kicker. In 2011, Anthony Farah did that, and he did a pretty good job. He eventually opted, I think, to transfer, I believe it was to Texas for his final year, but he was able to do it and do a competent job. And Penn State might have to revisit that situation because I just didn't see much in the spring from anyone else, and you just don't know what you're going to learn about Jake Pinegar, in a very short time in August. I think they probably want him to be involved. But Blake Gillikin is a talented player, and they're going to be in some close games this year, so you got to go with your best guy there.
No question about it, Bob.
All right, before we get wrapped up here on the Blitz,